Hello, this is Daniel Mart, and today I'm going to be doing another movie review. This time around, I'm going to be doing a review for Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. So, yeah, it's the final movie in the Hunger Games quadrilogy series, movie series. So I'll do this review, and then pretty soon ish, I'll do a review for the whole overall series, Hunger Game movie series, all four movies. And yeah, pretty soon ish, a month maybe. So yeah, this movie stars Jennifer Lawrence, Josh Hutcherson, Liam Neeson, Woody Harrelson, Donald Sutherland, the late Philip Seymour Hoffman, Julianne Moore, Willow Shields, Sam Calvin, Elizabeth Banks, um, Mahershala Ali, Jenna Malone, Jeffrey Wright, Paula Markinson, Stanley Tucci, Natalie Dormer, Evan Ross, Alden Henson, Christy Gwendolyn, Gwendolyn Christie, sorry, and Wes Chapman. So, and Matt Golding. So yeah, so before I begin though, 10 seconds spoiler warning as usual. For those who have yet to actually watch this movie and haven't already, stop the video, check it out, and come back here and watch the rest of this review. 10 seconds spoiler warning as usual, starting now. Okay, so 10 seconds are up. So for those who have yet to actually watch the movie and haven't already, please don't comment down below or be messaging me. That never give you a fair warning, because as usual, I did. So yeah, as usual, quick synopsis, likes and dislikes, and then the rates. So this is the final movie in the Hunger Games series. So you need to go out with a bang. Um, yeah, part two of Mockingjay. Mockingjay part one, just to give you a quick recap. You have Katniss in District 13. They're trying to figure out a way to get Peeta and Jenna Malone's character, I forget her name. Um, Whatever. Yeah, you have to. They need to get Peeta and Jenna Malone's character back to District 13 or into District 13, since they have been captured by the government, the capital, and they're basically being used as torture. Not exactly, but they're being used to torture the District 13 civilians, I guess, to give them a reminder of what is going on, as well as any other people who are thinking of rebelling against the capital. So yeah, capital propaganda in a sense. So that was part one. And Katniss is basically trying to get her people back. In this one, it's basically war against the capital. You have Katniss, Peeta, Gale, you know, you have all those people trying to get into the capital, kill President Snow, have Coin take over, kind of, and happy ending. I have read the Hunger Games books. I like the books. I'm not gonna lie. I actually do like the books. Um, as for the movie, this movie is still pretty good. The one problem is that you need to watch part one for this one. You need to watch part one in order to feel complete with part two. I think the best situation for that is maybe watch it back to back. Now, there's an argument to whether part one should have been made, or or could part one have been condensed into like about a half hour. And I do think part one could have been condensed to about a half hour. However, in having part one, we get more of the dramatic emotion that was there. And although part one, Mockingjay Part One, is the weakest movie in the series, I still think it was needed. Part two, again, needed because it shows all the war, everything that's been happening, and overall, it's pretty good. The acting is pretty good as usual. The writing's pretty good. You know, that is pretty good. From a technical aspect, the sound is pretty good, I guess. The special effects pretty good. They have a mix between practical and CGI, so that's interesting. Um, yeah, that's pretty interesting to say the least. Overall, though, pretty good. I just feel like the major problems, just story wise, because you kind of need to watch part one in order to feel part two is complete. Um, so yeah, and I feel like you have to. I wouldn't say you have to read the book in order to understand some stuff, but it would help. In my opinion, it would help if you read the all three books, in order to understand more or less what's going on in this movie. You do have some pretty, I wouldn't say heart wrenching or tear jerking moments, but you do have some pretty intense scenes. Death. I mean, it's a war against capital, so what do you expect? Fennec dies. Sam Calvin's character. Prim dies. That's probably the most major death. She doesn't go out in glory, and that's kind of a good thing because they do the way she dies in the movie is the same way she dies in the book, and she doesn't die in glory. She kind of just dies in war, kind of gruesome, and it's worse because she's like 12 or 13 years old, so it is pretty gruesome death. But she doesn't really die in glory, and I guess in a sense that is good, and it does give Katniss kind of an emotional push to do what she needs to do against the Capitol, and later on against Coin. So yeah, uh, I I guess it's a pretty good movie for Philip Seymour Hoffman to end off on. I'm not sure if this was his last movie or if there's another movie after this that he's still in. I'm not really sure, but for one of his last movies, if not his last, um, pretty good movie to go off on. He doesn't have a big role, but his role pretty important. Um, sad to see him go, but whatever. Look at Paso Paso. So yeah, pretty good movie. Better than Mockingjay Part One. Not the best one in the series. The best one in the series is Catching Fire. Catching Fire. And my order, for those who are wondering, it's Catching Fire, Hunger Games Part Two, Part One. So that would be my order probably. So yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, and 6 being decent, I'll give this movie a 7 out of 10. Pretty good movie. My major issues, you need to have watched both parts back to back in order to fully enjoy it. Or else you feel a little bit incomplete because if you just start watching it from the beginning, you're going to be a bit confused from what happened because of the previous film. And I was a bit confused at first because I haven't watched part one since when it came out last year. So I'm like, oh, this happens. Okay, I'm not going to remember it. So yeah, overall though, pretty good movie. Check it out. And yeah, especially if you've watched all the previous Hunger Game movies and if you've read the books, definitely do check it out. It's a pretty enjoyable ending to the series. So yeah, I heard they're gonna be doing a spin-off or Hunger Games spin-off. Don't know how that will work out, to be honest. Um, yeah, the only real possible spin-off I could imagine is maybe Haymitch's Hunger Game, maybe the 50th Hunger Game or something like that. And that's really the only logical one I could think of. Showing some other characters Hunger Game. Even after that, I don't really think they should be doing a spin-off for the Hunger Games. It really doesn't make sense. It's not one of those series that's open to a spin-off. So yeah, it's weird, but whatever. Okay, maybe they could do one on the War on Pan Am from like 76 years ago, movie canon. So maybe, but again, I guess that'll be decent. I have to see, but whatever. That's basically it for now. Subscribe, comment down below on your thoughts on the movie. Have you seen any? If not, why not? And if you have, what are your thoughts on it? Comment all that down below. Let me know. Like the video, share on Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, or whatever you prefer. And that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.